We're 1 week closer to the pay-per-view. I'm Joe Renton with my review of NWA Powerrr episode 28, and some nice little storytelling here, a few matches, and one interview segment that went on a bit long. But anyway, let's jump right on into it. Joe Galli and Velvet Sky on commentary because Tim Storm was on assignment. Not really sure what that's about. I don't know what sequence they taped these in, but whatever. William Patrick Corgan, a.k.a. Billy Corgan's just a name I know him by, so I'm just going to say that right there. Kyle Davis reads a statement from him, and we get scrolling text or whatever. They should have had the Star Wars theme playing, but then Disney would have gotten really upset about that. But anyway, it was about Adonis, Latimer, and Aldis basically going into business, strictly business for themselves, if you will, and leaving before the show was done last week. And Adonis and Latimer are stripped of their title shot. They got fined. Aldis and Adonis must show up, or they're going to be stripped of their titles. Aldis also was docked a month's worth of pay, whatever that is. And, you know, going back to the old school stuff. And if they don't appear next week, their title reigns are over. So, okay, you know, bit of a nice little hook there. And they also announced at the end of this episode that next week's NWA Powerrr will basically be the go-home show, and then they're going to have a highlight package, I assume, for the show that should have been the go-home show for the pay-per-view. So anyway, you know, it was cool to hear a statement. I'm a little bit worried they might try to make Billy Corgan an on-screen figure. Hopefully they don't. This was fine, and it did address the things where we were all wondering, why in the world does Strictly Business do this stuff? Anyway, we get Matt Cross versus Pope D'Angelo Dinero. TV title match, 6:05 time limit. And Matt Cross, he was going for broke here. He hit some dives, he hit some really cool stuff, and there was one little awkward spot where he landed on his feet after trying to do a shooting star press, and man, he came really close to stepping on Pope. Just a bit of a miscommunication. No disrespect to either performer. Matt Cross, really, really nice guy. Got to see him at multiple indie shows. Got to see him wrestle Ultimo Dragon about 2 years ago. Really fucking wild how indie wrestling can bring some of the best, you know, performers to your area, and you don't even fucking realize it if you don't go to shows. My point is, when indie wrestling starts to come back in droves, please go see your local independent wrestling. This is some good stuff, though. And with about a minute left, Elijah Express, 1, 2, 3, and there you go. So Pope D'Angelo Dinero gets closer to getting to the Lucky 7 rule, which I think he will probably get within one, or maybe he'll get to, watch him get to, like, you know, the 7th, and then they have somebody goofy beat him. And I'm not talking about somebody dressed like Goofy. That would be insane. He will, you know, he'll get close, and then that'll be it, and then he'll go on to do something else. So we then get Aaron Stevens and Kratos versus Fred Rosser and Marsha Rockett. And could the champs get along? Not really, but despite that, they end up winning. Rockett and Rosser, which really I think should be their name. That's a marketing campaign for T-shirts waiting to happen. It also sounds like a buddy cop drama. Or the new Rush Hour movie. You know what? Let's move on from that. The champs couldn't get along, but despite that, despite Kratos basically going into business for himself, because he's probably going to go be part of Strictly Business very soon, Stevens ends up pinning Rockett, and there's visible confusion, and then Kratos kicks Rosser while Steven looks very upset, and then May interviews Melina and Taryn Terrell. All right. It's about, you know, Camille and Thunder Rosa, I believe, facing off on next week's Powerrr. I don't know if it's happening on pay-per-view because as of now, they haven't announced any matches for the pay-per-view, which is a little bit weird because I know that their pay-per-views are cheaper. I just don't understand why they haven't announced a card just yet. I'm not faulting the NWA, but it's a bit strange. There's letting stuff play out, and then there's not giving, you know, the paying customer a reason to buy something early. But anyway, we then get Thunder Rosa versus Genocide. Yeah, Speed versus Powerrr. Nice rolling crossface by Genocide, and then an ankle lock for the tap out. I love watching Thunder Rosa wrestle, and she broke down the bigger Genocide, going to the inner thigh. Oh, do go on. No, that was a funny line from Joe Galli. Of course, I turned that stuff perverted because that's just how I am. But I like Joe Galli as wrestling commentary. He's really, really good. And then we get to the low point of the show. It's an interview with Tyrus and Grandpa Austin Idol. I get why they're doing this, but it's not really working. Austin Idol just sounds like a rambling old man, and Tyrus is in the Battle Royal basically to be the big guy that, you know, the eventual winner tosses out. Trevor Murdoch or somebody. And guys like Cross, Rosser, I believe Marsha Rockett, I believe various others are in there because there was a sheet that Kyle Davis was given. He read that. So at least we know a few people are going to be in there. And Ampero and Odison, The End versus Jack Stain and Crimson, the War Kings, and #1 contenders match, Hoss fight. These guys just collided with each other. The Pero Toss should be an Olympic sport, in my opinion. And then elbow drop with a bit of a disputed finish. Did he kick out the 4-3? Did he not? They slowed the replay down, and oh, maybe they'll use that to put the end in, this maybe three-way match for the tag team titles and find a way to get the titles off of Stevens and Kratos. They feud, and then Stevens basically, I don't know, goes for the TV title or something. So, nice little seeds being planted for the stories here. So, overall, not a bad episode of Powerrr. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.